What if the freedom you've been searching for, the peace you've begged the universe to give you, isn't something you gain by holding on, but something you unlock by finally letting go? Letting go of the people who don't see you, the love that never truly loved you, the noise of opinions that drown your own voice. This is not a book about fixing others, chasing closure, or earning your worth. This is your permission slip to stop fighting battles that aren't yours to win, to let people misunderstand you, and to walk away without needing to explain yourself. Because sometimes the most powerful move you can make isn't to try harder. It's to let go and finally grow. Letting go isn't weakness. It's the hidden strength no one ever taught us to master, the invisible sword we're all secretly afraid to wield, because we've been conditioned to believe that holding on is noble and letting go is failure. From the moment we learn to love, we also start learning to cling, to outcomes, to expectations, to people who once made us feel seen, to identities we outgrew, to relationships we were supposed to outgrow, to apologies that never came, and to closure we never got. But what if I told you that most of the things you're still carrying, quiet resentments, unspoken goodbyes, the need to be understood, are the very weights keeping you from becoming the person you're meant to be? You see, the art of letting go isn't about becoming detached or cold. It's about learning the divine skill of emotional unhooking. It's about choosing your own peace over proving your point. It's about realizing that someone walking away is not a rejection. It's a redirection. That not getting the closure you wanted is its own kind of answer. That the moment you stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you, you finally step into emotional sovereignty. It's about pausing in the chaos and whispering to yourself, I don't have to keep holding this. That thought, that person, that old shame, that version of you that keeps chasing validation. It can all be gently set down. Because the truth is, peace doesn't come when the world finally behaves the way you want. It comes when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable. You stop watering dead plants. You stop begging to be chosen. You stop auditioning for roles in people's lives where you were never truly cast. You don't chase, you attract. You don't force, you flow. Letting go, in its highest form, is not about loss. It's about gain. Gaining space. Gaining energy. Gaining clarity. Gaining yourself back. It's about walking into rooms no longer burdened by the fear of what they'll think. No longer shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. No longer sacrificing your peace to earn approval. And I know it's hard. I know it feels unnatural. Letting go of the relationship you thought was forever. Letting go of the version of yourself that was always overachieving, always apologizing, always performing. But listen closely. That version was built on survival, not freedom. And now you're ready for freedom. You're ready to become the person who no longer negotiates her worth with people who can't see her value, who no longer justifies her boundaries, who no longer internalizes every rejection as proof of unworthiness. The person who can feel grief and gratitude in the same breath, who can say goodbye not with bitterness, but with a bowed head and a quiet, thank you for the lesson, because every time you let go of a thought that hurts, a person who drains, a fear that binds, you make room. Room for love, room for clarity, room for joy that doesn't have to be earned. You start to walk lighter. You start to breathe deeper. And one day you realize you no longer miss what you've outgrown. You're not angry anymore. You're not waiting for them to come back or understand or apologize. You've stopped bleeding yourself dry for people who never even tried to meet you halfway. You've stopped measuring your worth in their attention, their validation, their maybe someday. You are no longer dancing for crumbs at tables where you were never meant to sit. You've built your own table. And at this table, there is no shame for putting yourself first. There is no guilt for choosing peace. At this table, you are allowed to bloom without permission. And the best part? You don't need anyone to sit with you. You are finally enough in your own presence. That is the power of letting go. It is not the end of your story, but the start of your becoming. Letting go is an act of radical self-love, a declaration that you matter, a rebellion against everything that ever told you you had to shrink to be loved. So here's the truth I want you to carry forward, tattooed onto your soul. You do not have to hold what hurts. You do not have to explain your healing. You do not have to grip things that want to leave. You let them, you bless them, you release them, and then you rise, lighter, freer, fiercer, ready for a life that doesn't just feel good on the outside, but feels sacred, aligned, and deeply yours on the inside. Let go not because it's easy, but because you're finally brave enough to choose yourself. That is where growth begins. That is where freedom lives. We carry so much more than we realize. Silent burdens that don't show up in x-rays or blood tests but live heavy in our hearts and minds. We carry the need to be liked, to be understood, to never disappoint. We carry the guilt of saying no, the fear of being too much or not enough, the pain of past relationships that still echo in our present decisions. We carry roles we never asked for. The fixer, the peacekeeper, the strong one, the always available friend. And with every "I'm fine" we mutter while breaking inside, the weight grows. Not because we're weak, but because no one ever taught us how to set things down. We learn to endure, not to release. We learn to push through, not to pause and ask, does this still serve me? The truth is, we're exhausted not just because of what we do, but because of what we refuse to let go of. We drag around outdated expectations from parents, teachers, society, scripts written for someone we no longer are. We keep people in our lives out of obligation, not alignment. We say yes when every fiber of our being screams no, because we fear being seen as selfish, rude, ungrateful. But self-abandonment is not kindness. Overextending yourself is not nobility. Carrying emotional baggage to prove your loyalty doesn't make you good. It makes you slowly disappear under the weight of everyone else's comfort. And you were not born to disappear. You were born to be whole, to be seen, to be free. Imagine this. What if you started asking, whose weight is this? Really? Every time you felt drained? What if you returned what was never yours to carry? Other people's projections, expectations, judgments. What if you stopped playing roles and started living truthfully? You see, carrying everything is not strength. Knowing what's yours and what isn't, that's real power. And here's something no one tells you. The world won't fall apart if you rest. People won't collapse if you stop fixing them. Your worth won't vanish if you stop proving it every second of the day. So breathe, gently, and begin one by one to release what is not yours. The pressure to be perfect, the guilt that was passed down to you, the need to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Drop it, all of it. Feel how much lighter you are without it. Because the only things worth carrying are the ones that help you rise. Your peace, your purpose, your truth. And maybe, just maybe, you'll finally feel what it's like to walk through the world free. Not because your life is easy, but because your soul is no longer weighed down by things you were never meant to hold. Let them. 2 words. A life philosophy. A doorway to peace you never knew was waiting. Let them misunderstand you. Let them walk away. Let them choose someone else. Let them talk, judge, doubt, or forget. Let them. Because the moment you stop trying to control other people's thoughts, actions, or choices is the moment you begin to reclaim your own life. We spend so much energy managing perceptions, rehearsing responses, justifying boundaries, defending our worth, and performing for approval that we barely recognize ourselves in the mirror. But the let them rule is a radical shift. It says, you don't need to chase, convince, beg, or prove anything to anyone. You do not owe explanations for your peace. If they don't invite you, let them. If they ignore your boundaries, let them. If they choose chaos over clarity, drama over truth, comfort over growth, let them. Why? Because trying to change people, trying to mold their choices to match your values, is a never-ending war against reality. And that war costs you your joy. Letting them doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care more about protecting your energy than controlling theirs. It means you're finally done micromanaging other people's evolution while abandoning your own. Think about the freedom in that. No more midnight overthinking about what they meant. No more heartache trying to keep people who are already halfway out the door. No more rewriting yourself to be palatable for those who lack the capacity to see your light. Let them go. Let them stay stuck. Let them love you wrong and then watch them lose access. Because you are no longer available for partial love, conditional support, or lukewarm presence. You are no longer holding space for those who only take. Let them leave and let yourself stay. Stay grounded. Stay soft. Stay true. Stay rising. You don't need everyone to get it. You don't need them to understand your why. You don't even need closure when their confusion was never your responsibility. What you need is clarity about who you are and what you're no longer available for. The let them rule is not passive, it is power. It is you declaring, I will not shrink for you to feel safe. I will not chase you to feel loved. I will not soften my truth to keep your comfort. So let them be who they are. Let them make their choices. Let them walk whatever path their soul needs, even if it doesn't include you. You just make sure that your path, your peace, and your purpose are no longer held hostage by what they do. Let them and let yourself be free. Somewhere along the line, we were taught that boundaries make us cold, selfish, or difficult. That saying no means we're rejecting love. That asking for space means we're pushing people away. But the truth is, boundaries are not walls. They're doors that keep the right energy in and the draining energy out. Boundaries are the language of self-respect. They are not punishments or ultimatums. They're permissions you give yourself to protect your peace, your energy, your time, and your truth. And the people who truly care about you, they'll honor your boundaries without making you feel guilty for having them. The people who get upset when you draw the line are often the very ones who benefited from you having none. Let that sink in. You are allowed to ask for what you need without justifying it. You are allowed to say no without explaining yourself. You are allowed to choose rest over obligation, solitude over socializing, and alignment over approval. Your worth is not measured by how much you endure. You don't have to bleed emotionally to prove that you love someone. Love is not about constantly sacrificing yourself to keep others comfortable. It's about two whole people coming together in honesty, in awareness, in mutual respect. Boundaries don't keep people out. They keep you in. They keep you centered, aware, aligned. They help you show up fully without being drained dry. They give you the freedom to stop overcommitting, overgiving, and over-apologizing. They help you break cycles of burnout and codependency. And when you first begin to set them, yes, it may feel uncomfortable. You might feel guilt rise in your throat like a lump. You might feel old conditioning whisper, "You're being selfish." But stay grounded. That's just the old version of you, the one who believed love had to hurt, to be earned, to come at the cost of your own needs. That version was a survivalist. This version, she's a warrior for her own well-being. Boundaries are your sacred yes to yourself. They are the energetic fence around your garden, because not everyone gets to come in and trample your growth. And guess what? The people who love the real you, the healed you, the whole you, they won't walk away when you set boundaries. They'll step up. So the next time you feel pulled to overextend, to people please, to keep the peace at the cost of your own, pause. Ask yourself, if I say yes to this, am I saying no to myself? That's your answer. Boundaries aren't bad, they're brave. They are the most loving thing you can do for yourself and everyone around you. And every time you draw one, You become more of who you were always meant to be: honest, free, powerful, and at peace. There comes a moment when you realize that your peace, your calm, your clarity, your groundedness is not something you're willing to put up for discussion anymore. Not for love, not for approval, not for the comfort of others. Your inner peace is not a group project. It doesn't require consensus. It's not up for negotiation with people who thrive on chaos or manipulate your emotions to maintain control. It's yours. And if someone's presence constantly disrupts it, then their access to you is a privilege they no longer get to keep. Too often, we hand over our peace like a bargaining chip, hoping if we bend enough, soften enough, stay silent enough, we'll finally earn peace through pleasing. But real peace doesn't come from external harmony. It comes from inner alignment. From the decision to no longer explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. From the courage to walk away from conversations that drain you, even if it means walking away from people you once loved. It comes from choosing your nervous system over their expectations, your healing over their habits. And yes, sometimes it means being the bad guy in someone else's story. It means they'll call you selfish, distant, arrogant, cold. But let them, because when you finally stop engaging with every fire they set, you begin to breathe again. Peace isn't passive. It's a radical act of self-loyalty. It's not about avoiding conflict. It's about refusing to create it within yourself just to avoid it with others. You do not have to sacrifice your sanity to prove you're kind. You do not have to shrink your joy to make others feel comfortable in their misery. You do not have to explain why you've stopped picking up the phone, replying to the guilt texts, showing up for people who never truly showed up for you. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. That's the boundary that says, I will no longer abandon myself to make you feel whole. And once you make that decision, something shifts. You sleep better. You think clearer. You feel lighter. You begin to trust yourself again because you're finally choosing you. So the next time someone tries to poke holes in your healing, tries to lure you back into the storm after you've found your sun, don't argue. Don't explain. Just smile softly and walk away. Let them wonder. Let them spiral. Let them stew in the story they made up about you. Because your peace doesn't need defending, it just needs protecting. And you are the guardian of that peace. You are the gatekeeper. And from this chapter forward, let it be known, your inner calm is no longer up for debate. Closure is a luxury, not a guarantee. And the truth is, waiting for it can keep you shackled to a version of your past that no longer deserves your presence. Healing without closure is one of the bravest things you'll ever do, because it requires you to make peace with the silence, the confusion, the unanswered questions, the words you never got to say, and the apology that never came. It means choosing to let go, not because it was okay, but because you deserve freedom more than you deserve fairness. You may never know why they changed, why they left, why they hurt you after swearing they never would. You may never understand how something so beautiful turned so cold, how someone who held your heart could drop it without flinching. But healing is not about rewriting the ending. It's about giving yourself permission to walk away from the story altogether. It's about saying, even without the full picture, I will no longer wait for someone else to validate my pain before I begin to rise. You don't need them to say sorry to forgive. You don't need their explanation to exhale. You don't need their permission to move forward. Because real healing begins the moment you decide, I am done reopening wounds just to prove I was bleeding. I am done explaining my heartbreak to people who never stayed long enough to see the pieces. I am done searching for clarity in people who thrive on confusion. Closure doesn't come from them, it comes from you. It comes from that quiet moment where you stop asking why and start asking what now. What do I need to rebuild? What can I learn from this? What does freedom look like on the other side of this heartbreak? And slowly the weight begins to lift. You breathe deeper. You stop checking their page. You stop rehearsing the pain. You stop waiting for them to reach back. You begin to choose yourself again and again, even when it hurts. Because healing without closure isn't about forgetting. It's about no longer needing the ending to begin again. It's about writing a new chapter in your own handwriting, one that doesn't require their signature to make it valid. So if the door never closed properly, close it yourself. If the goodbye never came, create your own. Light a candle. Write a letter you'll never send. Cry it out, scream it out, release it, and then step forward. Not because it all makes sense, but because your healing matters more than their absence. This is your life. You don't need closure to live it fully. You just need the courage to heal anyway. Letting go is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of strength, because it means you've finally stopped begging the past to give you a future. It means you've reached the sacred threshold where your need for peace outweighs your addiction to control, to answers, to what could have been. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you care deeply, but you care about your own soul more now. It means you've grown tired of carrying weight that was never yours, of replaying memories that no longer match the person you've become. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself, for others, is to release the grip. Release the expectations, the timelines, the fantasy that kept you stuck in circles. Stop watering relationships that only bloom when you beg. Stop chasing closure from people who made an art of disappearing. Letting go is not giving up, it's growing up. It's reclaiming your power from the people, patterns, and past versions of yourself that kept you playing small. It's standing at the edge of your old life and saying, I may not know what's ahead, but I can no longer survive what's behind. And in that moment, something inside you shifts. You no longer chase what's not choosing you. You no longer argue with someone's silence. You no longer try to fit into spaces that feel heavy instead of holy. You begin to feel light, not because everything is perfect, but because your soul is no longer trapped in a tug-of-war with things that resist your peace. You stop trying to fix what broke you and start building what frees you. You start writing a life that reflects your worth, not your wounds. Yes, letting go may come with grief, but it also comes with grace, with space, with stillness, with the miracle of becoming. You'll find that as you release what's toxic, your body exhales. Your mind calms, your energy returns, and suddenly, the future no longer terrifies you. It calls to you. Letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing yourself again and again, until even your memories stop hurting. So breathe deep, loosen the grip, trust the fall. What's meant for you will never require you to abandon your peace to prove your love. And what you let go of today will make room for everything you're meant to hold tomorrow. This is your power. Not to hold tighter, but to finally let go. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of every fear you've faced, every boundary you've drawn, every weight you've released, and that version is unshakably, undeniably you. Becoming her, becoming him, becoming them. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. It's the slow, fierce reclaiming of your voice after years of silencing it. It's standing in the mirror and no longer seeing a reflection built by others' opinions, but one carved from truth, pain, and power. It's finally recognizing that your worth is not up for debate. You are not here to fit in. You are here to belong to yourself. You're not here to shrink so others feel tall. You're here to rise, even if it rattles the room. Becoming unshakably you means honoring your intuition over their instruction, your boundaries over their comfort, your peace over their approval. It's being okay with being misunderstood, misjudged, even misquoted because your integrity speaks louder than their assumptions. It's realizing that your healing is not about them. It's about you waking up every day and choosing yourself on purpose. Not because you're selfish, but because you're sacred. It's about no longer breaking your own heart just to keep someone else warm. It's looking at your past and saying, thank you for the lessons, but you don't get to lead anymore. And it's walking forward, not perfectly but powerfully, knowing that your softness is not a weakness, your silence is not submission, and your story is far from over. You become unshakable when you no longer need the world to clap for you to keep dancing, when your joy is no longer conditional, when your worth is no longer borrowed. You stop waiting for permission. You stop apologizing for your existence. You stop dimming your light to keep others comfortable in the dark. And from that place, from that fire, you rise. Again and again, taller and clearer and freer. The storms may still come, but they will not destroy you, because now you know who you are. And once you know who you are, no one, not even your past, can convince you otherwise. So walk boldly, speak bravely, lie fully. You've let go, you've healed, and now you become, unshakably, authentically, you.